I unboxed the Alienware X15 R1 gaming laptop on the channel recently. This laptop is so thin, but packs an incredible punch with some insane specs. And now I've had some time to play with it, test some games on it, test software out on it, and I've compiled this video here for you to give you a little bit of an understanding as to my thoughts on the computer and what I think about it. So let's get into it. Also, in case you haven't noticed, this is a new space. I'll be making a video very, very soon about this new space. Special shout out, of course, to Alienware Oz for making this video possible, sending out the X15 R1 for me to check out and review. If you're looking to pick up any Alienware products and you're in Australia or New Zealand, head to the link in the description below and use code OPTI20 at the official Alienware store at checkout for 20% off your purchase. So first and foremost, let's dive into the specifications of the computer. The Alienware X15 R1 boasts an 11th gen Intel Core i7-11800H processor. To put it in perspective, this 11800H is the same processor my Alienware Aurora R11 has, which is a pretty powerful desktop. The computer comes packed with a 3080 8GB NVIDIA GPU. It comes with 32GB of DDR4 RAM. It has a 1TB M.2 NVMe solid state drive in the machine, and the screen is 15.6 inches, coming with a 360Hz refresh rate and a 1 millisecond response time. Do note that this is the highest configuration I believe possible, and that your configuration may not be the exact same. So let's get into what I absolutely have loved about this computer in my time checking it out. There's lots to love about it, but we first need to talk about the size and the fact of how thin the machine is. I don't think I've ever actually used a laptop ever, gaming or not, that's been this thin. And the fact that it's this thin but has all these incredible specifications on it is just really freaking awesome, and I love. But one of the great things with it is that although it's thin and it's packing a punch, performance is not terrible. Airflow is really nice from what I've been able to tell. The computer does not get too warm to the touch. And of course the fans do rev up while gaming, but they're not very bad at all. It's amazing that this has been pulled off in such a manner that it actually all works seamlessly. One other thing that I really love is the screen. The screen refresh rate is 360Hz, as I mentioned, and to put it in perspective, in my setup, I have 240Hz monitors. I didn't think I'd ever notice the difference between 240Hz and 360Hz, but 360Hz combined with the Intel UHD graphics on this machine is absolutely gorgeous. The colors are really tremendous. I compared to my computer monitors to my laptop just to see the difference in kind of color that I was getting, and the color ranges were absolutely beautiful. Everything moves really fluidly with 360Hz and the 1 millisecond, and combine that as well with Windows 11 now on the machine, and it just looks beautiful. The storage on this machine is something else that I do need to rave about. By default, I believe the Alienware X15 comes with 512GB of storage, but you can configure it higher to 1TB on purchase if you choose, and I absolutely love that. Most laptops I've ever used have only ever come with 512GB of storage, and I really sometimes want that further 1TB. It kind of sucks sometimes when I'm restricted to using an external hard drive to store my bigger stuff, when I'd much prefer to have it on my device. 1TB gives me room for more games, gives me room for more project files such as videos like this one, and whatever the hell else I'm working on. Let's now talk about the design of the computer. Unlike its predecessors in the M17 series, you can only select one color with this machine. You don't have the option for a Dark Side of the Moon or a Lunar Light, you've only got the one option. I love both the Lunar Light and Dark Side of the Moon colors, and this X15 brings both of them to life in a really sleek and awesome way. The computer features the Lunar Light color on the outside of the machine, so you're getting that beautiful white color that Alienware are known for, but you're also getting the Dark Side of the Moon, the black color on the inside, which is a lot more practical for where you're actually touching the machine. Obviously, you're going to be touching the machine on the outside as well, so it's going to get marks on it, of course, but internally, you're going to touch the computer a lot more on your keyboard and your trackpad. It hides marks pretty well, and not to mention how easy they are to clean off. Talking about the trackpad, let's discuss the trackpad. I didn't know how keen I was on this feature on the laptop because I thought, oh boy, it might take up some battery life, but I really like it. In case you don't know, the trackpad lights up on this model of the X15, and I really do enjoy that. The trackpad can be customized with Alienware Command Center to be on your favorite color or to roll through a set of specific colors if you choose. The trackpad by default is left to turn off after a short period of idle, that way it doesn't suck up too much of your battery while you're not using it. If you leave your computer for a short period of time and the trackpad stays on, that's going to drain some battery, but Alienware have made it after a few seconds of idle, the trackpad automatically turns itself off. Trackpad will still function, but the lights just turn off. Talking more about what's on the computer internally, one thing I do miss from the computer is a numpad. I didn't expect a numpad with the X15, but the X17 also does not have a numpad either. I think it's more personal preference for me that I like having a numpad because it just makes my life easier when I'm doing maths or something like that. And it gives me extra things to bind keys to in, say, video games or if I'm live streaming. Something else that I'm not overly keen on the computer is the USB ports and all the ports of the computer being on the back of the machine. Now, obviously this is done because the computer is so thin, it just simply cannot house a USB on the side of the machine, which is totally fine. However, I don't necessarily like having to have cables on the back of my machine. I find it really kind of risky, especially if I don't have a lot of space on my desk. If I go to pick it up, I could potentially break the cable. It's just something to be a little bit more mindful of and careful of. Something else I was worried about with this computer was the lack of the Ethernet port on the machine. The laptop does not come with an Ethernet port on the machine, and I wondered how they were going to counter this. But if you saw my unboxing video, you'll see that Alienware have countered this by introducing a USB-C 2.5 GHz Ethernet adapter. You just simply plug that into one of the USB-C ports on the computer and then plug your Ethernet connection in and you're good to go. I don't always plug a laptop into Ethernet because I'm usually using a laptop on the go or in a spot where I don't think I'm going to be for long or anything like that, but it's really nice to have that little touch of an Ethernet adapter. So let's get a little into my gameplay test of Apex Legends and Battlefield 2042 on the laptop. First up, let's talk about Apex Legends. Apex Legends is one of my favorite battle royales right now, and it's one of the ones that I play more frequently. I wanted to test this game out because it's quite a popular game, and in some instances, it can be a little hard to run on some specifications. So I wanted to see how it performed. So I loaded up my temp monitoring software and the internal things in the game to monitor the game, and I was really pleased with how Apex performed. As you're seeing by the footage on your screen, it hovered between 120, 130 FPS, but it obviously dipped to 100, 110 at some points in the tougher moments. The temperatures kind of hovered for the CPU in the 80s and the GPU in the high 70s, which I'm not too concerned about. My usual point of concern for temperatures is in the 90s when it comes to laptops. Talking a little bit more about temperatures, idle temperatures are totally fine, usually in the high 40s to early 50s. In a game like Apex Legends, the 360Hz screen and the Intel UHD graphics really truly shine. You won't really be able to see them in the footage that I'm showing you because you're only seeing it on your screen, whereas when I got to see it on the actual laptop screen, it was absolutely gorgeous in the color that it was picking up. I played a fair few games and the computer didn't get really warm or anything like that. I've noticed that on some gaming laptops that the keys often get warm and uncomfortable to touch. This is not the case with the X15R1. While the keys themselves do not get warm, the vents around the sides of the keys do get a little bit warmer, but again, just nothing too concerning. I ran Apex Legends at fully maxed out settings and I was really happy with its performance. I would assume that with lower settings, you'd probably get higher performance in your game, which you're more than welcome to do. So now let's talk a little bit about Battlefield 2042. Battlefield released in November of last year and is an awesome game. However, it's a notoriously hard game to run. Even on my R11 or any of my other PCs, it still kind of struggles to run it, and I think that's just due to optimization. But I tried out the game anyway just to kind of see what it did. On ultra settings, I couldn't really get beyond 50 FPS, but that's, again, a Battlefield 2042 problem. I went online and had a look at forums online to see what was kind of going on, and most people kind of can't seem to go beyond 140 FPS when they've changed a bajillion settings. So I changed the settings down to high and I was getting into the 60s to 70s and with similar temperatures to that of Apex Legends. I'm not worrying too much about the test of Battlefield 2042 because I think that's heavily based on the fact that the game isn't very well optimized. But that's why I also checked out Apex Legends just to ensure that, you know, it wasn't necessarily the computer. At 60 FPS in Battlefield 2042, it was doing beautiful things. The computer again was not getting too warm to the touch or anything like that. Of course, the fans were revving up and making noise during both games, but I wasn't too concerned about it. Normally when you're gaming, you got headphones on anyway, so it's not really gonna matter. I also did some video editing and just general kind of like business work tasks, school tasks on this computer, and really makes everything quite simple and quite easy and fun as well. I've always preferred larger laptops over, say, 15-inch laptops, but this X15 has really shown me that, you know, with 15 inches, you can still do quite a lot and still get the performance that you really want out of it. Obviously, there's this understanding that with the bigger the laptop, the better specs it's gonna have, but this computer defies those expectations with the fact that it's only 15 inches, how thin it is, and it still packs an insane punch. Video editing is super simple on the machine. I found it really fun to edit and just it made it a lot easier to just cut down footage and whatnot. If you want to check out the Alienware X15, I'll be leaving links in the description below to anywhere you can find it, along with all the details of the specifications in the description and the link to my unboxing video. So in summary, I really do love this computer. Prior to this, my laptop was the Alienware M1703, and I really loved that computer too. This laptop does a really good job of meeting the expectation of what's needed often from a laptop. Gaming laptops for a long time have always been big and thick and bulky and hard to carry around sometimes, but the X15 is a really good innovation into bringing back small laptops, but not sacrificing performance. The Alienware X15 is certainly going to become my new content machine when I don't want to be at my desk for long periods of time or when I'm unable to be at my desk. I thoroughly enjoyed my time reviewing this machine and checking it out, and I'd love to know what you think of this computer in the comments section below. But thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, feel free to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm making more gaming tech videos here on the channel very, very soon. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your time zone, and until next time, bye-bye.